Alright, so here we have the Team Associated RC10T4. This is my buddy Joe's, and that's the Team Factory one. It's got all the bling. The nice shocks. Good knuckles. You see some carbon fiber there. But the issue with this is, I guess he's saying something with the differential of the transmission. So he wanted me to take a look at it and make sure it's running right. Obviously this popped out. I think that's just from the shocks not being on, but yeah, maybe we'll replace some of the links. As you can see, this one's a little bent. He used to use this for drag racing with our buddy Greg. Gosh, this was around 10 years ago now, but yeah, so kind of beat it up. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of the nicer bodies, but that's all right. It's still usable, and I'll go ahead and give him this body too, just because it came with mine, so I don't need that because it also came with this one as well. So I've got those two. I'll give that to him. We'll find out what's going on with this transmission, and we'll continue building mine. I just found this servo for it. It's just some, actually I pulled it from an old TC3 just because I think it'll be all right for this. I'm gonna run this motor setup. We'll see. I might change some of this. I might change this pinion, but we'll see. So that's what I've got to start with, and that's what I've got to finish with. So let's break into this transmission.
All right, so I've got the rear end disassembled. I've got the transmission out and pulled apart, and you can just see how gritty it is in here. Joe was saying that he was having a hard time finding the sweet spot for the adjustment for this screw here. And when I took it apart, I found it was so tight that there was no differential action at all. When I loosened it, it seemed to be too loose and would probably just start slipping. So before we do anything and try to figure anything out, we're just gonna have to clean these parts off and reassemble. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these, and we'll be right back. So that last little clip didn't do justice to just how dirty this was. There was a lot of grit on these rings here, and you can see it's still pretty dirty, but usable now. And because of that, these were all gritty. This was disgusting. These were disgusting in here. So I basically find this to be in the decade-old abandoned nitro condition. Not for nothing, this has been left around for a decade, so I'm not surprised I found it in this condition. But we're gonna go ahead and grease this up, get the ball diff rebuilt, rebuild the transmission, and see if we can get it tuned with the ball diff. When I originally opened it at first, this was cranked so tight that there was no way that there was any action from the differential. And when I loosened it, it was damn near impossible to find the sweet spot because it was so gritty. So I think we've got a good baseline now. We'll go from there. All right, so I got the diff rebuilt, and it felt really gritty on the dirtier side of the rings. So I disassembled it again and put the cleaner side of the rings on the balls. And it's still just a little grittier than I would prefer. So we're gonna go ahead and get some new rings for this and rebuild it. So that's pretty much where this is at. We've also ordered some new shock towers for it just because these are janky. and you can see that the where the body mounts were was altered. So we'll just start fresh there. Also get a bumper, RPM bumper. So this one's kind of on hold until we get those parts. And as for mine, I need the wheel hexes. It didn't come with any, so that's where mine stands. I still have to mount the ESC. I went ahead and mocked it up. I got a different servo in there than the one that I was going to use from that old TC3, and this is actually from my MGT rival spare parts. I'm also using the servo saver there because the stock one here or the one that came with it, just wasn't going to cut it. This was interfering with the box of the servo itself. So got the servo sorted and just gotta wait for those wheel hexes. So that's where this project stands. I'm gonna leave it for now, move on to the next, and we'll come back and finish this.